Okay, show you here what I do to bait and snare coyotes. So you can get an idea. Nice countryside out here. And then there's kind of a little bay, trees all around it inside this hayfield. Okay. So anyway, what I do is I look for a bluff that has a lot of grass inside, not as much trees. So I'll show you here. I'm gonna back in, this is my trail. I back in here and I've been baiting for about 3 weeks now. And coyotes all know about this. It only lasts about a night now, maybe a few hours, and it's gone. This is where the bait gets put, and it just gets eaten up in no time. You can hear a few ravens off in the distance. They're here like crazy too, magpies. So anyway, I don't know if this is going to come through very well on the camera, but basically there was no trails in here, there's nothing, it was just standing grass and trees. So you can see now all these trails that are developing. There's that one there. There's this one here. See this one going under the fence. Okay, so what you do is you just walk around back here and you just start following the trails. Like there's a real nice little spot there. So anyway, every trail here is made by a coyote, and there's no deer on the trails. So anyway, what happens here in the last 3 weeks is these coyotes have been coming in, like those are nice trails. They've been coming in here, getting a free meal. Nobody's bothering them, and they aren't scared anymore because nothing has harmed them for 3 weeks of free meals. So they've come in here. If we look around in the bush long enough, you'll find that they drag stuff away. They sit there in the bush and chew on it. They come back here, grab more food. So basically it's conditioning the animal to come here for free, easy meals, and there's no danger. Okay? So that's basically the gist of it. Nothing too fancy. What I use for bait is beaver carcasses, muskrat carcasses, any carcass I can find. I have permits to pick up any big game roadkill, and also lots of butcher scraps. I got a couple butchers there. They give me all the bones, the trimmings, the guts, whatever they throw away, that's what I get. So that's what I use to bait. So what I'll do is I will show you guys how to set up a snare here right away. Let me get everything ready and be right back. Okay, so this is a power snare. We got a few of them here. Basically, a lot of people aren't familiar with them. Some people are sort of familiar with them. They think they're like a trap and they snap. They don't do that either. They're just a type of a restraint on a snare that never ever releases the pressure. It's better than a lock, because a lock requires the animal to pull on it constantly to keep it tight. And some locks relax, these don't. Okay, so anyway, this is the snare. I have them rolled up. The only thing I do is when I get them, I boil them in baking soda just to take the shine off of them. Roll them up like this, put them in my pocket. So unrolled, this is the snare here. Okay, these particular type are called the deer Breakaway. They are weakened right in here, that they will hold a coyote, but they'll break for deer, moose, cow, big dog. Occasionally the odd big coyote will break them, but it's really rare. I know of some guys that hold wolves in these, but I wouldn't trust them for wolves. But basically coyote size and down, it holds them really well. Okay, the other portion is the cable. Okay, I make the big loop and a small loop. Okay, so what I do is, first things first, you put the small loop through there. This is difficult again with one hand. And then you bring the big loop and put it through there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that set up. I'll be right back. Okay, so now the cable is, you can see how it's kind of got a noose there. Now this is a nice new cable, so it's not all bent up or anything, and then it runs out to the big end. I buy a 100-foot roll of this cable, and I make them about 8.5 feet each. I get a dozen cables out of 100 feet. You can make them a little longer. I wouldn't go any shorter. Okay. Now, the actual power snare itself is, if you look on the snare, you have a little noose sort of thing, and then this is your trigger assembly, sort of. That's what fits in the trigger. And then the actual other part of the snare is that breakaway portion, but it's just a regular noose. There's no lock or anything on this snare. So then what you do is you put the end of that snare into, I'll show you here, you have that little notch there, that's the trigger, okay, and then there's a lap link right there, and this one in the middle is your safety. So it goes through here, and then you put it, see, it's so hard to do with one hand. You wrap it around the lap link, do one turn, like that, okay? Then, I can't do this with one hand, I have to put the camera down, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to put this little washer right there inside of that little notch. So you have to compress it a bit, squeeze the end together, and put this into there. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down and do that. Okay, so now the safety's off, that just slides down, and you can see your lap link is holding it, and it's inside the notch portion now. Okay, and now the rest of the snare is hanging there. So now what we got to do is, it's pretty much ready to go as is, but this snare is too flimsy and it's way too big. So what I got to do is I wrap some wire around and I hold the snare out about that size. Okay, so I'll do that, and the wire I use is just your regular stovepipe wire. This is a small roll left over already now. Stovepipe wire, 16 gauge rebar tire wire, whatever you want to call it. It's just your real cheap stuff. Okay, so I cut about, what is that? It's about 12-inch piece or so, 13-inch piece or so, and that's what I use. So I will show you what I do here right away. Okay, so you can see the wire is wrapped around that, and then it just loops over and all the way around the snare, and you just leave a little tag up there. And now you can see it holds the snare. Number one, it holds it out, and number two, it holds it at the right size. Now with this I can bend it, you know, if I want it up, down, whatever the case. It follows wherever I put it now. Okay, so that's basically a set power snare. Now I'll show you how we do everything. I'm going to walk over here to a tree and I will set it all up here and show you how it all works.